This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
It was the bare bones of like what our ancestors have done is just battle and not worry about anything else in life.
Yeah.
No bills, no wife.
You're in it.
No booze.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered, brought to you by the No Fallen Heroes universe. Folks, we have another special in-studio guest, man. It's been like 3 weeks ago in a row. We had Brian Fleming, 10th Mountain Division leader, wounded, found the medicine, healed. His wife came in last week with my beautiful bride, Susie, did her first podcast. So make sure you check out episodes 104 and 105. And now we have a senior chief in here, man. And he and I, we're going to talk. This is going to be a great podcast because he and I have a shared common background in some of our military stuff, which I'll make fun of. But a quick intro. Senior Chief Jerod Napier is a retired senior chief and business owner who, with the intentional use of plant medicine, found a path to healing and health. He owns and operates Rising Ridge. You're going to love this. It's a 508c1a. I love all the IRS codes, but it's a faith-based organization focused on healing the collective through value-driven behavior and intentional use of plant medicine, man. That's I love that. Everything in that sentence speaks to me. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Rising Ridge focuses on raising the vibration of the collective, as well as provide a safe and sacred space for veterans to explore alternative modalities to find their health and happiness. Senior, welcome aboard, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very special. I know you and I have been following each other on social media. Were you out at Psychedelic Science last year?
No, I tried to make it down there. We had a lot of traction with building Rising Ridge at that time.
Okay.
And I just couldn't find my way down.
All right. I was like, did we? Because I was wondering, because this is our first time meeting, right? Yep. This is great. And he just got off an airboat, man. His son's birthday yesterday. Yeah. So this guy, typical senior chief, man, he gets it done. So from Orlando. Yep. And then sounds maybe like me, the judge said Navy or jail.
Yeah, I grew up in North Orlando and had a great childhood. And just doing Florida boy things.
Normal Florida man stuff.
And I had the opportunity to move with my brother to Madison, Wisconsin in the middle of my junior year of high school.
Oh, so my God, dude.
That was in January. Yeah. Quite the culture shift for me and them. I got off the plane with like white dyed
Beach
hair,
boy.
like Slim Shady, you know what I mean? And like a silver puffy jacket. And I showed up to Madison, Wisconsin, and they looked at me like I was an alien, just like I looked at them like,
sure.
But
cheese? That's what you do around here.
Yeah.
Snow and cheese.
It was great, though. It was exactly what I needed in that time of my life.
There you go.
And right out of high school, joined the Navy. Yeah.
So in the Navy, went through Great Lakes, obviously. Naval Medical Center, Portsmouth, Virginia. You augmented 2nd Battalion, 6th Marine. So FMF, right?
Yeah.
Fleet Marine Force.
Yeah. I didn't get my FMF pin or anything on that deployment. I was brand new to the Navy.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, hey, the war started and we need someone to go fill this. I had no idea what I was doing. Nope. I just showed up trying to look cool and just to kind of fall in. But
you did 3 combat tours with these guys?
I did 4 combat tours with the Marines. I did 3 to Iraq and 1 to Afghanistan.
Oh my God, man.
Yep. And then did a couple more. I had the opportunity to go to East Northern Africa a couple times when I was with DevGru.
So were you a corpsman, or what was your? Yeah, you were a corpsman, right?
I was a corpsman, and then I went to Independent Duty Corpsman School.
Okay,
and that's like they pretty much utilize you as a PA and a provider in the Navy, except you're enlisted.
Yeah,
and you do report to a medical officer very rarely. But I mean that was
you're a doc, technically,
exactly,
man.
Right?
Especially
I could
for
order
small
meds,
units,
right?
And now is that why you went on the Patriot?
Yep.
Were you were kind of the doc, right?
I was the doc on the Patriot.
Yeah.
That was a
So this is one of our ties together, man. The first one is, I flew in 2 Marine fighter squadrons, man. So being a Navy guy in a Marine unit is kind of fun. You're treated like it's interesting, right? Because they're wired fucking different, man. Marines are, God bless them.
They're incredible.
We need the Marine Corps.
We need those dogs.
We
need
them on that wall. We want them on that wall. So I was in a Marine fighter squadron, and then the other tie to us is, dude, I was on MSO 490, the USS Leader. So I was on a minesweeper on my midshipman cruise. But when I saw you were on Patriot, which is a mine countermeasure ship, I'm like, dude, I was on it was a wooden ship with a canvas bridge.
Wooden ship, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly right. So you were the doc on the minesweeper.
86-man crew, all male crew, except towards the end, we got a XO that was a woman. But I mean, when you talk about Navy and what the surface fleet is, like, I don't think you could get any more, like, for what it is. That was a really cool duty station for me.
It's a naval vessel, it's a warship, and it's small enough where that's cool. And you got like your combat watch officers. You did boat stuff.
I was all in. I was doing my best to stack the deck so I could be a chief petty officer in the Navy, just like any motivated first class petty officer.
Let's check it. Let's
go. I was doing everything. And I think coming from the Marine Corps, I brought a different aperture to that platform.
True.
True war fighter and a true tactical mind coming onto a ship that just goes by the checklist and whatever we got to do not to fail inspections. But, maybe motivate a few people like, hey, like, we're war fighters too. Like, we're not.
At the end of the day, our job is a killer, man. We're killers. Dude, that's awesome. And then ended up your career at DevGru. You were a DevGru guy, right?
Yep. I was. I selected, I was screened and selected in 2011, and I came from the ship to there. So there were some vast growing pains with that and learning, and not just a lot of changes happening at that command at that time, particularly with the medical department. Worked very closely with the SARC community. The reconnaissance corpsman community. Amazing human beings, very intelligent human beings, and spent a lot of good years there.
That's awesome. What a naval career. Marine, surface, DevGru. Hell, man, it doesn't get any more varied than that.
And
you got the full Monty.
I was lucky enough to come across some amazing leaders at all those commands, and come across some really toxic dirtbag leaders, and being able to, pick and choose what I wanted to be like, and even more so what I did not want to be like, and how I felt when they treated me certain ways. And
you learn more from the bad leaders than you do the good leaders, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so, because people will always remember how you made them feel.
Correct.
Especially when you make them feel like a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
they'll never forget that.
Like I don't ever want one of my guys to feel that way, because of my own. There are times when we want to hold our guys' feet to the fire, but not, taking out your own stuff on a junior
If it's
person.
warranted and backed up, all right. I'm going to lay into you, but not just, for nothing. All right, let's backfill, man. Incredible career. Obviously, thanks for your service. Let's talk, man. You were awarded a Purple Heart. Talk us through the Iraq and Afghanistan, man. Talk us through your experiences. Maybe the worst or the best.
I was, really blessed and favored by God to be put in these situations. It's very difficult to come to that as a tipping point in your healing, because I think too many veterans, they grasp onto these parts of our lives, these slivers in time of our entire existence on this realm, and they attach to it, like the third root
That's
cause.
my identity.
Their ego, right? Their ego is a platoon sergeant in Fallujah, a saw gunner in this place.
That's who I am.
Right. Yeah. And everything that they are and everything that they've ever been is just this one small pillar in their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So when that gets shattered,
bad things are going to happen.
Right. You get out and you get a job at Best Buy.
Exactly.
And, like, nobody gives a shit that you're a squad leader.
Correct.
You know, like, hey, go stack the DVDs.
You're just another asshole mowing the lawn.
Right.
Yep.
I was lucky enough to do some really beautiful, violent things overseas, and I was given the opportunity to again see both sides of the scale of the good in people and the bad in people. Now that can be kind of boiled down to perception and objective, sure, but yeah, I was in my first deployment when I was with 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines. So I left Naval Medical Center, Portsmouth, and then went to 1st Battalion, 3rd Marine Detachment in Hawaii.
Okay.
And when I got there, I was in fairly good shape. I was super motivated. So I got selected to go to the Stay Platoon, Select Target Acquisition, their sniper platoon. And I was their doc. And if you want to inflate a young warfighter's head very quickly, you put them with those elite group of warfighters. Yeah. So I showed up. I was the doc, with my hair and doing all this stuff. And my elite group of Marines, it was just a rigmarole. From the moment that I arrived, they just put me through it because I had never done a pump with them.
You're a Navy guy.
I'm the new doc, and they love their old doc. So I come in. I'm brand new to the battalion. Yeah. So we get to Okie. I get put with them, and it was just training and absorbing that Marine Corps lifestyle.
Ethos.
How to think. How to behave. True like epitome of brainwashing. But hey, you want to be washed when you go over there. Correct. People don't want enlightened warfighters. No. Like, that's not what we're trying to do over there.
Don't want anybody thinking for themselves.
No. So I was steeped in that culture pretty hard, pretty fast, and I'm blessed for it. We got to Kuwait and a 2-week training op, getting off the ship. It's supposed to be a MEU. 2-week training op turned into, hey, we're going to mount up on these vehicles, and I just saw the writing on the wall.
I know it's coming.
Yeah, and my intuition, I've always been real snapped into my gut, always real snapped into
It's a thing.
It truly is. And even then, as much as they want to push it down, like my gut was like, hey, this isn't normal. And, Frago came down like, hey, we're going to Fallujah. Like, we are going to assault the city of Fallujah.
It's 2003, 4? 4.
Okay. The fall operation of Phantom Fury, Operation Phantom Fury. And it was every warfighter's dream, rules of engagement, any male 15 to 55 with or without a weapon. They drop pamphlets over the city saying, hey, if you don't want to fight, leave. So there was like mass transit out of the city, and all the bad guys came in to fight, to save their city of Fallujah. They didn't do too well from a, combat perspective, but
well, here we are 20 years later.
Yeah,
Who owns Fallujah?
Maybe they did do well. I don't know.
They played the long game.
They certainly played the long game, but their short game was poor.
Yes.
And I was in that city for almost 50 days. Same skivvies, same everything.
Wow.
Finally found a toothbrush, and
Jesus.
But it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was.
It was you were trained for.
It was the bare bones of like what
Yeah.
our ancestors have done. Is just battle and not worry about anything else in life.
Yeah.
No bills, no wife.
You're in it.
No booze.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. And your job is to locate, close with, and destroy the enemy with fire and maneuver.
Period.
And when you soak in that space, when you're able to steep in that mindset for a prolonged period of time, you change.
Yeah.
And at the time I loved it. It was the best. It was the best job in the world.
Yeah.
But I got back and I knew I wasn't the same. I was really using alcohol as a coping mechanism, explosive anger, all of my shadow traits, seeking attention from women, and all these things that are really deep rooted around my spine from childhood, deep insecurity issues, and just continuing to mute all of those with alcohol, being strong, and seeking the attention of women.
Well, that's the culture too, man. Marine, Navy, warfighter, women, booths. Yeah. It's weird if that's not how you conduct yourself.
Like,
what's
why
wrong
are you reading
with you?
books, dude?
Exactly.
Like, what are you going to bed at 10 o'clock? Like, what? But, and, I grappled with it for a little bit. And then I was meritoriously promoted to second class because of some of my actions in Fallujah that could be, observed as heroic. I was meritoriously promoted, and I took over Alpha Company, and we went to Afghanistan. And I learned so much as a leader in that unit, as the senior line corpsman of that company, so quickly. We got there in January, and in February 6th, my friend John Fralish, who was my junior corpsman, was killed. And that was the first time that I ever really lost someone from my direct chain.
Subordinate.
Right, like someone who worked for me. And I always tell people this story, like when we were doing some higher up meet and greet with some village, and I could feel something was wrong. The energy had shifted, and I just like, something's going on, And came over the radio that we had a casualty at this other part where we were not really by, probably about a 15, 20 click movement. And I just knew something was different. And they said the kill number over the radio. And I remember like my first sergeant doing that and handing me the paper. And it was John Fralish, my guy, our corpsman. And I didn't even flinch. My first thought wasn't my poor friend. Those poor Marines are without, it was, who am I going to get to replace him?
Oh, my God, man.
Like, who am I going to get to replace John Fralish was like my first thought.
Wow.
And if that doesn't just kind of show you.
Man, the military did a good job conditioning you, didn't they?
Right.
Who's going to fill?
Right.
Fuck.
Like, your friend just fucking died, bro. Like, your friend just got shot in the chest and fell down a mountain. And you're worried, and your first thought is, who am I going to get to replace him?
Yeah.
And I didn't even chew it. I didn't digest it. I just observed it for what it was. We got boots on ground, and I had to tell one of his corpsman friends, who didn't know who the casualty was, that he was dead. And I'll never forget the look on that big man's face. He crumbled. He crumbled mentally. And, we made it through that deployment, got home, and that's when the wheels kind of started to smoke off for me.
Yeah.
Doubled down on the booze and the women and the fighting and the wildly self-sabotaging, destructive behavior.
Yeah.
But you're also a war hero. You're also this person, so we can't get Doc in trouble, And I was supposed to go to IDC school after that deployment. And I was in no shape to go. And thank goodness one of my old chiefs, he just saw me. He's like, "Well, are you okay?" I was working at the regiment, like verifying medical records, like want to drag myself from a truck. I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is making me want to die. Being in this office with, that's not what I am.
Cubicles and medical records.
Not me. And he's like, "Do you want to go back to Iraq with us?" I said, "I got one condition." I said, "You just give me a company. I don't care what it is." I said, "You get me in the line company. I can't be with H&S. I can't do that." And he's like, "No problem." So I was like, signed the paperwork to go back to Iraq. He blew out his knee. I went over there, and the new chief was like, "Hey, we're looking forward to having your leadership in H&S." I was like, "Well, this is the agreement." He's like, we can't we can't honor that." And I was like, so I just started to be disruptive. I started to be very aggressive with my leadership, mandatory FMF studies, getting the guys up, call it aggressively PTing them at 5:30 in the morning, and just really being a thorn in this laid back.
I was taught to be a POW, man. I can do this.
Right. Like
I'll resist.
Right. And sure enough, like my old CO from Alpha Company said, hey, I'm putting together a military training team that's going out to Haditha 2 months earlier than the battalion. So do you want to come train Iraqis with me? And I was like, absolutely. So
when we leaving?
I went on that deployment, and that deployment was like the best. It was really what I needed to mature.
Okay.
Because I was really an immature warfighter, even though I was a leader. But being in that position and changing the whole, it was me and 11 Marines. Mm-hmm. And that changed the whole way I saw the battlefield. That changed the way I saw logistics. That changed the way I saw myself as a gear in the military, everything.
Yep.
So I had to, I'm sitting there sending emails to, generals. Like, I had to tighten it up some, but I could also run wild with those Iraqis.
Yeah.
Like
true.
Like 3 grunts and like 12 Iraqis would just go on patrol with like no supervision.
Oh, man.
Just doing work, rolling dudes up and just getting in gunfights.
Jeez.
And it was awesome. And I came back, went to IDC school, struggled there, surprisingly.
Again, going from that to that.
Right. And my ego was just unbelievable, my ego and I can't by the time if it wasn't for the help of some of the key instructors and some of my classmates too, I remember just wanting to quit. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, you want me to be put in this box? All the things that people egos. You want me to put in this box? And they're like, just
can't keep me down.
Shut up, dude.
Yeah.
Can you just do what we're asking you to do?
Throttle back a little, Francis.
Yeah. And the only place I didn't want to go was a warship. Like, I don't want to go to a ship. And they're like, well, here you go. You got your own ship out of Japan.
We heard you.
Yeah. So I left there, went to a minesweeper, a wooden ship, Iron Man, and had a lot of fun. Met my wife in Japan. She was in the Navy at the time. She's
oh, cool.
Yeah, she was a SWO on a different ship
No
out
kidding.
there. Yep. So she's, she was an academy grad, volleyball, basketball.
Oh my gosh.
She's like 6'2", super smart, beautiful, and she meets me. At all the people she could meet in her whole life, she meets Jerod Napier, and
God has a plan, doesn't he?
He really does.
It's beautiful to watch it unfold, man.
Yeah. So we were together. Didn't really spend a lot of time with each other in Japan, but we made it work. She went to Virginia Beach a couple months before me on a big deck, and I screened for DevGru, got selected, and she's a big part of Rising Ridge too. She is really she was observing me through my healing. Very skeptical at first, as a lot of responsible good wives are. Like, wait a minute, are you just gonna go to this place and do all this?
Do
stuff?
some drugs,
right. But she saw how it changed me at a cellular level, and she was like, maybe there's really something into this. And I just kept stepping into it and doing more, and it helped her find her spiritual path.
Amen.
And now she's doing Reiki, she's doing energy work, she's doing amazing things, helping our community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in ways that I can't.
It's a good team.
It really is.
Yeah.
And like you said, God, Creator, has put this woman in my life and me and hers even to do our work as the highest, and really try to change people's lives, and veteran suicide, right? Like, that's the bar.
Correct.
Like, hey, everybody's got a good plan. Everybody's wants to do all this stuff and do, like, what are you actually doing though?
Tactically, what are you doing?
What are we doing?
Boots on the ground.
Right.
Yep.
And
let's back up and give us your dark night of the soul for a better way to characterize it. What was the circle in the drain moment that you just, I can't take this anymore? And tell us how you found the medicine, so to speak. So talk us through the bottom and then finding how God or the creator or source, truth, divine, whatever word you want to use, said, you got to walk this way.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. I just had my son. And the moment that I laid eyes on him, I knew I was done. Like, I'm done deploying.
Yeah.
I'm done.
War.
Like, there's no more fight in my heart to leave him.
Oh, yep.
And it was the first time that I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been there probably about a year, not even, and they tried to suck me up for a year-long deployment going to Iraq.
Holy shit!
And I was probably there about a year and a half plus, and I was stable, you know. Like I was working out. I was drinking a lot though, and I was abusing pain medication, and I got screened to that oversee screening, and I just was truthful on it. And they were like, we want you to go down to Corpus Christi to get screened, because they thought that, like, the doc was just hooking me up because I worked in the same facility as him. Okay. Like, hey, we're going to re-screen you, send you down to Corpus.
Second opinion in the industry.
Right. Right. Like, hey, you say you're too sick to deploy. We're gonna try to verify that. So I went down there and just put all my cards on the table, like all of my ailments and what was going on. And I got de-screened. And like that really fucked me up. Like I truly felt useless. So
that was your identity.
That was it all, man.
It's who I am. Warfighter, doc. Yeah.
And now I'm no longer that because I'm so broken. I'm so mentally broken. I'm so physically broken.
Yep.
Pending a full hip replacement, pending another shoulder surgery, pending all these things. And I left there, drove back up from Corpus Christi. I'm at San Antonio at the time, and I'm abusing pain pills, and I go to a bar and lock it on. I'm knocking back tall boy IPAs, and you know, I just started draining. You know, I'm not doing well. I'm crying. Started just get crazy. You know, so when you start to go down that real dark, it'd be better if I'm not here. And for individuals that say like, I don't understand how anybody could kill themselves, you know, blah, blah. I'm like, well, thank you for your valuable input.
Thanks for making me feel worse.
Like, you obviously have never been there. And more importantly, you obviously don't have any empathy for people who have. And it's not like it's not like you're thinking logically. There is no logic in that space.
Correct.
Like you're misfiring terribly. And you know, in hindsight, you're like, man, I can't believe I was there. But when you're in it, you're like,
you're in it.
I'd be better if I was dead.
Correct.
This whole situation would be better if I was dead.
You are so far disconnected from source and who you truly are. When I see people, I've been there, by the way, but when I see people like that, I have nothing but empathy and compassion. Those people, those are the people that need the most help, right? My God, if you've been there, it's nothing but empathy and compassion. And if you haven't been there, little bit of breaking news, that's you, man. We're all fucking one. We're all the same piece of cosmic stardust born from infinite energy, light in the blink of an eye. That's you. That's you.
Yeah.
Might not be you right now physically.
Right.
God forbid you get there, man. Do unto others.
Right.
You know, Jesus.
Yeah.
So that was literally a dark night of the soul.
Yeah. So I went in my truck and I had that cig and I remember just looking at it like SIG 229 and like teardrops like dropping on my pistol.
Jesus.
And yeah, dude, I've almost ended it all. And my LPO called me. and me and him were like, I was hard on him at work, but we were drinking buddies. And he's like, "What are you doing?"
He felt something.
I think so.
That his intuition.
He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I said, I'm over at the Flying Saucer. I'm like, "I'm drinking, dude. Like, I'm not well." And he said, "I'm on my way." And that's it. And so he like walks in the Flying Saucer. I probably looked like I was suicidal, been drinking for 3 hours on drugs and fucking, and he sat there and talked to me and drove me home. But that was one of the deeper pockets of almost really killing myself. And there were some more pockets along the way, but the Marine Corps birthday is always hard for me. Early November is always hard for me. Fall, my bones and my cells recognize that time in fall. It starts to cool down.
Seasonal depression too, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Days get shorter.
Like the cards get stacked for me to start to behave and think in unhealthy ways. But through it all, I was just able to, get the help that I needed to continue to kick that can down the road. I was on SSRIs for about a year, gained some weight, still was drinking, doing therapy, and it just I wasn't suicidal, but I also couldn't do it.
You're skimming the treetops, man.
Yeah.
You're just crawling along the bottom.
Yeah.
Day by day.
It might have been the right move for me at the time, but hindsight, I wish I'd have known now, what I didn't know then, tale's old as time. But and then in March of maybe 19 or so, something happened where the wheels blasted off of me. And I didn't eat for 2-3 days. I didn't sleep for 2-3 days. I was sick. I was homicidal. I was suicidal, homicidal, and I just wasn't well. And I was lucky enough to get put into this program they had in San Antonio. It's like one of those programs where you got to meet very specific criteria because of funding, specific types of funding. Like, were you ever affected by Hurricane Katrina? And the doctor's looking at me like, just come on, dude. Were you ever sad when you saw people drown? I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Sign
Check.
here. So I got put into this 3-4 week intensive outpatient program where the type of modality they use for healing is prolonged exposure. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No clue.
So what you do is you pick your top 3 traumatic events in your life, and you go from top to bottom, and all you do is you do therapy while it's being recorded, and she just drags you through the mud. You tell your story over and over, and as you tell it, the first time I was slapping stuff off, just exploding in anger and sadness and grief and really letting it rip, and you're recording it, and then that goes on for about 90 minutes, 2 hours.
Okay.
And then you take a break, and then they ask you to go do what is integration. So for me, she was like, "I want you to go to the mall." I was like, "No problem." She's like, "Without your gun." I was like, "I'm not going in the mall without a gun. What are you, crazy?" I'm like, "I'm not going
This
to the
could
mall
be the
without-"
day.
Yeah, I'm not going to the mall without my gun. She's like, "No, I'm asking you to do this." So I did. And I remember I parked my truck and was like, I can't believe I'm getting ready to go do this. And somebody was physically assaulted right outside of the mall. Somebody was walking out of the mall. Somebody came up, punched them, took their bag, and then ran to a bus stop. I was
my God.
And it was also when I was really trusting spirit. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, this is showing me
Ain't no coincidences, man.
Right.
There's a message here.
So I went into the mall, did my thing, went back, and then they have you listen to yourself on recording and take notes and journal while you listen to it. So it's it's rubbing your nervous system.
Wow.
It's tough. So it's 4 days of that, and then Friday I would have my free day. And really what I was doing, I was experimenting with LSD at the time.
Okay.
And
are you still on active duty or? Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so I would do that hard, and then Friday I would go out. I was starting to grow my real estate portfolio. I was flipping a 6-bedroom, 4-bath, huge farmhouse, like way in over my head, like down in South Texas. So like I used to go down there and just take psychedelics. And when I really shifted from like,
how'd you, let's back up real quick. LSD or any of the psychedelics, how'd they enter your consciousness? Just your friend told you, the media, God? It's all God, but you know what I mean.
Being a Florida boy, growing
Not my
up.
first rodeo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Growing up, and, I was taking psychedelics young.
Okay.
I took LSD in probably 6th or 7th grade, and before I went to Saturday school.
Oh my gosh.
So like,
wow.
So like I'm in Saturday school, like you can't talk, you can't do anything. Like, I'm like, however old you are, 13, 14, like just on, LSD and just journaling and writing and being like, just feeling clarity, like this isn't like, I remember I wrote this poem called like Reality. And I remember one of the lines in the poem was like, I don't know what reality is, but I know I feel a lot more clear when I don't witness it from where I am normally. And I wrote this whole thing.
Dude,
I
nailed it.
Like my mom found it. It was like, what is this? I'm like, oh,
I was high, Mom.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was at Saturday school, and I dropped acid
On
before.
LSD.
Love you, Mom. But so I was versed I was
Aware
of the mind opening capacity of psychedelics.
Yeah.
But this is when I was really following my spirit and like what I wanted and what I was doing, and I just saw the huge benefits, and I felt the huge benefits when I'd come back Monday, like, hey, how you doing? She's like, how are you?
Clean piece of paper.
Yeah, like, how's your nervous system? I'm like, considering last week you drug me through the mud, like, I feel outstanding.
Wow. Did you tell her? Did you confide in her?
I did. After about the 2nd or 3rd week, she's like, I just want to say that you've made really immense progress. And I was like, I have something to tell you.
Can I be honest?
And I was like, I've been taking LSD on the Fridays and she's just like, why? I was like, because I feel like it's helpful.
Why not?
Right. And she was an amazing woman. She's like the best no nonsense therapist that I've burned through therapists like in the military. And
belt fed.
Just how much do you drink? Like if I told you that, you would fucking
you
lock
call the
me
cops.
up. Yeah. Like I'm not ever being honest with you because you just want to either stop me from deploying or end my career. Like, and so I'll just sit and suffer and lie, But she was great. So through that experience, I was really able to connect the dots. Like, hey, aggressive therapy, intentional use of psychedelics is beautiful.
Yeah, you weren't doing it for fun.
Right.
It's not recreational.
Right.
It was I'm trying to heal me.
Yeah, and it really did some amazing things to shift my perspective, particularly in certain circumstances in my life at that time.
Oh, that's cool.
And
was there any, like my first, I went down south with Marcus Luttrell and JT from Black Rifle and football player, another team guy, and my first ibogaine and 5-MeO experience. I mean, just life transformational. That's why I'm sitting here now. That's why I'm alive and sitting here now and doing this mission. Did you have a singular medicine experience, or do you string them together? Was there any, we talked about your dark nights of the soul. Was there a bright morning of your soul on a medicine experience?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that. So I'm coming towards the end of my career. I got a lot of plates spinning. I got this huge house. At first I was going to live
flipping homes.
Yeah. Like at first I was going to live there. Then I was like, no, I'm going to sell it. And then I was like, well, what if I turn it into a big hospice home for cowboys and their ranch hands and their wives? And it can be a big, farmhouse, and we treat everybody like kings and queens, and we let them eat whatever they want. We let them drink whiskey. We let them smoke, a real place to go end your life, and not some of the other establishments that we provide for the dying.
Mm-hmm.
So through that entrepreneurial idea, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And that led me to become a death doula. So a death doula, if you're not familiar with that term, is someone who learns how to accompany and walk that person to the other side of their life, and also support families, with your sister passing and you saying, that slowly killed my father. What if they were able to have someone that could be there for that hard blue collar type of family, and help them just in reality. Not that losing your daughter is unimaginable, but how can we move forward with this in life?
Correct.
And I was really called to that. It was, death was a part of my life for a long time, and whether it was trying to get people there or trying to save people's lives, and it felt right. It felt aligned.
That's pretty incredible, man. You go from being a war fighter to with death to a lifesaver, or centered around that final transition. Not death, transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I found a death doula that I wanted to work with. A high school friend had took her course. I took that course, and it just started to unlock me. It was an all-female container, and it was the first time that I could ever be really witnessed in pain and witnessed in just exactly who I was with no judgment, which is safety when you boil it down. And a lot of veterans think they might know safety, but until you feel it, and until you feel no judgment, truly, at a cellular level, you cannot and will not unlock.
It's the coolest feeling in the world.
It's amazing.
It's technically our default state. It should be our default state. Freedom and non-judgment and just closer to source, right?
Yeah.
Being able to be who you truly are.
Yeah. So I was really into it. The first night that I ever took any of the courses, I went down to that South House, and I was going to do my first big dose of mushrooms, right? So I was like, but I'm scared, I'm like, oh, I've never done this before. So I asked Spirit before I make this turn towards the house. I said, Spirit, show me a sign, that I should take. It was 3 grams that I was thinking about taking. I said, show me a sign I should take 3 grams. And the next song that came on a random playlist that I had not curated was called Take 3. I'm not exact. Like immediately,
I believe you.
I asked Spirit, and it showed up on my truck. I was like,
Take 3.
Like I got
Holy
full
crap.
body chills. I was like, whoa. I was like, all right, well let's do it. So I get there, I take 3, I walk around the property for a little bit, and like, you know what? I start feeling great. I said,
Now 3's a bit not massive heroic, but it's not junior. It's probably right down the fairway.
yeah. It was perfect. I started to feel the effects a little bit, and I'm like, I'm gonna take 2 more.
I was going to say, did you plus up?
Yeah, I did. So I took 2 more.
When in doubt.
And I, I'm getting body chills now, but like I went outside. I got like a little pair of, silkies on, like these same sandals probably, and like a tarot card and a big old blunt. And I go outside and I just touch the ground, and the grass comes out and touches me. And at first I'm like, ugh. But I was like, and the grass like came out and like kind of like touched me, like, hey, like you're okay.
We got you.
Like your nature.
Yeah.
And I went out into this field, and there was like this energetic barrier at first with this like passing this gate going into this big space. There's like mosquitoes and bugs, like, and like I just kind of powered through it and like yelled, like an animal would, like, and they all went away.
Wow.
And I started to walk, and I started to slap myself like all over my body and like move in ways that I've never moved, and like just do these very ritualistic chants and like movements that I've never seen, never done in my life. dude, I just started vibrating like I've never felt since. And I was moving the wind. I was just amazing experience. And then all of a sudden, all the wind stopped and everything stopped. And I felt like a bucket of gratitude, warm gratitude was poured over me.
Wow.
And I looked up, and there was like an extraterrestrial craft that was slowly flying over me. Now, I could talk about that experience with aliens more, and I could also talk about multiple, interactions with that type of energy later. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really grasp what was happening at the time just because of the entire
everything else
experience. Right.
A little busy with other stuff too.
Right. But I did say and think out loud, like, one night that energy is going to come back here and witness me as sacred as I just witnessed it. Mm. And I have all this journaled.
Yeah.
So I get back to the house. I do a big death meditation, which is like the intro into the course. And I put on headphones and a blindfold and just sit in this big spooky house and just like do this meditation. And one of the parts of the meditation is like, you're going to die and then you die. And who are the people that you see on the other side when you do die? And it was individuals that I had taken their life, or I had a part of taking their life. Mm. And like embraced each other, and so much hatred, so much pain, so much grief, so much anger were just like pulled off of me in that moment.
Wow.
And I was never the same.
Wow.
I was never the same after that experience. Like this is when COVID was kind of picking up. And I remember like putting on my uniform, and being like, this doesn't feel right to me anymore,
Yeah.
And like truly vibrational shift of where I was in my life and how I saw life and how I saw death and how I saw my peace in both. And it changed me forever, and then from there, I was no longer suicidal. Yeah.
How about the booze?
At first, so the big shift for me with booze was combo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Combo was the medicine that truly shifted my body and brain at a cellular level to let me know that booze was no longer a part of
I love that.
my repertoire of healing tools.
Yeah, that ain't healing you.
Right, but there certainly was a shift, like when we'd go out to eat, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do a Dos Equis. And then I'd be like,
why?
This isn't right to me anymore.
Just doesn't.
Right,
It was out of habit, but now it's like,
this doesn't make sense to my body anymore.
Exactly.
So it certainly helped me on all those realms.
That's incredible. I talk about, so you actually experienced some of the people that you had either killed in Iraq or experienced, you saw them as souls.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. I'm telling you, bro, and I say this, you can put this on my tombstone. One of the reasons these medicines are still illegal at a federal level is because I think they have the potential to turn warriors into peacemakers.
Worldwide.
4 years ago, I would have swam across the Atlantic by now to kill as many Russians as physically possible, or Hamas, or Hezbollah. Now I'm like, fucking stop, man. Take a break.
Enough.
Stop for a week, man. Just give it a rest. If you can't figure it out, go back to fucking killing each other, but stop.
Like
I see souls. Old me saw shells, right? Enemy, ego, woman, this, whatever. Now I'm like, dude, we are all the same cosmic stardust right there, man. Stop killing each other. I had a heroic dose of psilocybin, man, and I was in, like a war zone. I saw people just white killing each other. Ain't no uniform, wasn't human. It was soul, and it was a horror to me. I'm like, why are we doing this, man? Why? Well, we know. I mean, General Smedley Butler, Marine General. War's a racket.
Outstanding Marine.
Absolutely. Smedley. Love the name. But yeah, holy shit. So what an experience. So when did it hit you like, you know what? I got to do this. I got to put the ladder down to help others. Because before we jumped on the air, I call it the world's greatest Ponzi scheme. You heal. When we get on an airliner, the first thing the flight attendant says is, we lose pressurization. You got to put the mask on yourself first. You ain't good to anybody else in your row. Same thing with the medicine. So after you put the mask on yourself first and we land the plane, you're like, dude, I got to fucking tell everybody or I got to help. So walk us through getting to Tulsa and Rising Ridge and putting the ladder down.
So,
and what's a 508 or whatever it is? Because it's a church or a faith?
It's a church.
That's great.
It's a faith-based organization, and we believe in plant medicine, the sacrament given to us by God.
Amen.
Helps us raise the vibration and not only allows us to feel our connection to God, to Creator, but to ourselves, which is God and Creator, in my opinion.
Oh my God, man.
And when you're able to make people feel safe and unjudged, I've never felt unjudged in a church. And I'm not telling.
I'm a recovering Catholic, man. It was pretty full of judgment.
Yeah. And
touch yourself or you miss church or you whatever, you're going to burn in hellfire forever. I'm
damn, dude, like the stakes are that high. Yeah. Like that's.
I'm a kid and you're telling me that? God, God's
it's
angry.
So traumatic. Yeah.
God hates me. He sits on a throne and is going to shoot lightning bolts and throw me into hell. God,
that's terrifying.
It's horrible.
And
you ever read The Immortality Key? You'd love this book.
Yeah.
It's called The Immortality Key, The Religion with No Name. It's like a Dan Brown novel, like the Da Vinci Code on psychedelics. He goes to Greece and, Eleusis and the mysteries and the Eleusinian mysteries before Christianity. Not that there's anything wrong with Christianity came along. You could go to Eleusis, man, and you drank the cookie. And above walking into Eleusis, it said, die before you die and you'll never die. So in the old days, first of all, the women were the spiritual. They would mix this concoction, man. You drank it and you could commune with God one-on-one. And organized religion starts coming in like, nope. If you do that shit, you're a witch. That's witchcraft. Women are now second-class citizens. We'll tell you what God says and pay us 10% for the honor. So back in the day, we used to be able to use these things as sacraments until man came along and said, no. That's the fact. I'm so glad you do this. And do you know Justin Lepre from Illuminate? He was a Marine in Fallujah. I got to hook you two guys up because he's got a Illuminating Heroes, I think it's called, in Texas. So he's doing the church thing too. Because it makes my skin crawl that the fucking DEA believes that they can be the arbiter of a religion. We got people in this country that believe in a fucking spaceship. I got no problem with that if you want to believe that, but you're telling me that can be a church. But I've never been more spiritual in my life. I lost my faith for most of my life with my sister, sexually abused, military trauma, and I've never been more spiritual. Not religious, but spiritual. How can the government say whatever you took to connect, to clean up your shit, first of all, and then to reconnect with God is illegal? It just Benjamin get the musket moment, What the fuck? I can't even. It doesn't even compute to me. Where did we go wrong?
That feeling of seeing your sister, seeing your father, and having them arrive, and then having them walk away, and then come back, and really giving you what you needed.
That's exactly what I needed.
It's exactly what you needed.
Yeah.
Like there is no, it could have been
decades of needing that. And
gone.
It was gone.
Like,
yeah.
Anybody that tries to stop that,
amen.
Like,
why?
You are not a good person.
Yeah.
You are not a good human being.
Correct.
Living to their highest on this earth. And if you're truly brainwashed to believe that that is your highest living, highest self on this earth, then to stop people from seeing the things that they need to see and feel, to stop them from killing themselves, then you're a fucking demon.
Yeah, something that is evil in this world. You are so disconnected from source and each other to be that judgmental. I mean, how can you, I've gone to D.C. a bunch of times, man, and these guys and gals behind closed doors, oh, we love what you're doing, but you're going to have a problem with the big pharma and alcohol and tobacco lobby. I'm like, isn't that your fucking job? I'm not going to have a problem with any of those people, man. Lead, follower, get out of the way. But you know as well as I do. I mean, it sounded like you were on a ton of stuff, SSRIs in the military too, man. It's a racket.
That's when I was at my sickest.
It's that fucking awesome.
Is it
It's a revolving door between the VA and Big Pharma, man. I think Marcus told me he was on 15 meds, 5 to wake up, 5 for lunch, and 5 to go to bed. And I don't think he's taken a med in 3 years.
Yeah, shocker.
Isn't that great?
Like, oh, but heaven forbid it comes from the ground. Heaven forbid it comes from a toad.
Exactly.
Heaven forbid it comes from a frog.
Yep.
Like, wait a minute. Whoa.
Yeah.
You can't just go, like, stop telling me what to do like I don't have guns. Stop telling me what to do.
Exactly.
Like, I'm a free man.
We came up with we had a document that actually limited the powers of government when we started. We're like, we're actually going to have a Bill of Rights. If it ain't in here, we own it. We're only listing the shit you're allowed to do. But here you need a license to fish. Our founding fathers would be like, Benjamin, get the musket. Again, they'd be mortified at where we are right now. It's insane.
It's shameful.
It is shameful.
It is shameful.
Let's go on a higher note. Somebody wants to heal, veteran. Talk them through your church, your process, and what you do.
Yeah,
the great things you're doing there.
Thank you. Thanks for asking that, and thanks for letting me kind of, thanks for squaring up that nail for me. Here's the thing. I don't say yes to everybody, and there's a lot of veteran communities, particularly in this medicine space, that do it wrong, in my opinion.
Amen.
They don't prepare people. They don't integrate people. They give them an experience that maybe they're not ready for. People aren't ready to just shake up a champagne bottle and pop it off. And guess what? Great. Now,
good luck.
Good luck going back to your wife who has been there for you for 28 years of your career, seen you at your worst, and you come back bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, talking about let's go ground ourselves and go for a walk. And she's like, I'm glad you healed. I'm over here with the fucking kids in trenches while you did
good for you.
18 months in Iraq.
Correct.
Like,
that's malpractice, man. People who do that shit, it's dangerous. I treat these, as you know, at No Fallen Heroes, we treat this like a combat mission, man. You got a brief. You got to do your intelligence gathering. Let's have our intentions. Let's have our questions for the medicine. Let's contingency plan. If shit gets a little sideways, then we do the retreat. And then you have got to integrate.
The preparation, and I've said no to people. I say no to a lot of people. Just because, hey, listen, I understand that when you're in the trenches, you look at someone like me or someone else that is a voice in this medicine space and say, I want to be healed. I want to be okay. Okay, but are you really willing to do the work? The work, right? Like we say the work. Well, are you willing to change your life? Everybody wants change, but nobody wants to fucking change.
Correct.
Their behavior, their mindset.
And they want it quick.
Of course. We're in the military. Pop a pill, everything's better, and, continue
Press
on.
forward. Yep.
Like there's some unraveling that needs to occur. There's some trenches that need to be explored.
Yeah.
And
there's going to be a little mourning for what that was. Like your identity, you were so aligned with this and a corpsman, a doc and this. And then when that shattered, man, you got to be ready to break down. You know, I'm not one to use this term lightly, but I was born again after the medicine. I came home a clean piece of paper. And I'm glad you brought that up because Susie was that, well, yay for you. What the fuck? I've been dealing
with you for 20 years.
Most of her trauma, unfortunately, was whiz-induced. But thank God 2 months later, she's like, you know what? Let me go sit with the medicine. We've never been a better couple, parents or anything like that. Talk to us about your bride. How, during your medicine work, was she supporting you? When did she pitch into the fight? What's her?
So it was a lot of me really learning that medicine, psilocybin, kind of on my own with a mentor and really stretching myself hard with that medicine, learning it in and out and being by myself. And
extremely powerful, man.
Just
wow.
Really learning and stretching myself with that medicine. And then I went to Mexico for my death doula graduation. There I sat with 5-MeO-DMT.
What you think about Toad?
It's amazing, and I don't think it's for everyone.
No,
I don't think a lot of these medicines are for everyone.
Amen.
But for me, where I was at that time in my life, I was really struggling with well, are you a spiritual person or are you a warrior? You know, because you can't be both.
Yeah.
Like you can't speak light and love and then also in the same breath talk about kidnapping people and putting them in a trunk. And and the reality was that was my intention. Like, give me clarity with this. Like what you know, what am I? And it did. That aperture was boom. Like, you are everything. You are that savage that can do these terrible things. But you are also a safe place, and you are light, and you are love. You're everything. I remember
duality.
And I remember just staring at the mountain and my heart being like, and then like, well, there you go. Thank you.
Answered.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Got the memo.
And, now integrating that was, you know,
for such a short experience, man. I'm still 3.5 years later, my 5-MeO, I exploded into love, light, energy. I died. It was absolute death. And, you know, people kick me under the table. I'm like, that's exactly what okay, ego death. But, dude, it was, I have no fear of death right now. You know, you don't want to hear a pilot say he's got no fear of death. But I got to be honest with you, dude, I have zero fear after that 5-MeO experience. That medicine ain't calling me again for the rest of my life. I can tell. Yeah. It was fucking Millennium Falcon jumped to hyperspace in the blink of an eye, man. And it was violently beautiful and overwhelming. The most stunning experience of my life. So Toad is not, I'm glad. So listen to Senior, folks. Not these, there are so many different healing modalities. What was it called? The intense like trauma thing, and you journal about it and
prolonged exposure.
Prolonged exposure. So, folks, there's so many different healing modalities. Prolonged exposure, yoga, breathwork, meditation, climbing a mountain in Nepal, or medicine. And I like to tell people that radical trauma might need radical healing. These medicines, especially the Toad, man, fuck.
Rocket fuel. So you don't want to put rocket fuel in a lawnmower. You know,
great point.
You want to put rocket fuel in a
something that's prepared and built and ready for the ride.
Kind of like your approval flight of that Hornet. Like you want to.
Oh Jesus God!
I love that story. That's an outstanding story. But you know, like you don't want to put someone in that Hornet that isn't capable of pushing it to its limits.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's
like,
malpractice. Like bad can happen.
Right. And you don't want to take someone who's just like, hey, my wife's about to leave me. I need help. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to bring you out here. Yeah. And just blow open your frontal cortex and allow you to see God and then all the terrible that you are, and then go back to that. Yeah. Like preparation. You know, how do we get this ready for the experience? Are you willing to do the things that I ask of you?
Correct.
You know, and if the answer is like, no, I'm not getting up earlier than I do. I'm not grounding. I'm not performing value-driven behavior. I'm not journaling. I'm not going to yoga. I'm not meditating. Correct. Like, okay, well, then maybe you're not ready for this rocket fuel.
These are the people you say no to,
right?
Obviously.
Right.
I'm glad you do that too, man, because some folks in the space kind of, I'll take the money and, you know, blast you off. And
taking fucking anybody.
That's awful. It's bad.
It is. Like, I keep to myself in that space because I am a believer of, like, you know, it's happened how it's supposed to be. But I feel like some people rely on that saying, oh, is that going to, it happened exactly how,
as an excuse.
Like, no, you didn't prepare them. You didn't prepare their family.
Correct.
You didn't prepare them for what was about to happen to their brain. No. You didn't allow them to.
It happened as it was supposed to expose you as a potential fraud or danger. That's the only reason it happened.
I get fired up, man, and I do my best not to like be confrontational with these organizations, just because I'm very proud of the work that we're doing at the Ridge, and I do feel wildly aligned. And it like our bedrock is safety.
That's good.
You know, with like being an IDC for 13 years, like I know the medicine space.
You're a doc.
I know the safety protocols, but what are we doing to truly make this a life-changing experience and not just a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage?
Correct.
That eventually is going to, you know.
Or just an experience. Wow, that was pretty neat. And then let you go home and then spiral out. Yeah.
Like, what are your goals? What do you really want to do? Well, you know, I'm looking for a shift in my life. Well, talk to me about that. Me and my wife are blank. I don't really feel called to keep doing what I'm doing in work. And to me, that's a big part of someone is looking for a change because they feel it.
Correct.
They don't feel like, and I don't like my job as much as I did, you know, and men, particularly in their late 30s, early 40s, it's kind of a tune that I hear more often and more often. Like, something's changing, something's shifting in me that I don't feel aligned to what I'm doing anymore. You know, like
that might be uncomfortable. That's spirit, man. It's something's out of alignment. Your spine's off, so to speak. You got to get back into alignment. So don't push that type of feeling away, man.
Yeah.
Sit with it, get out of it, and stare at it and go, yeah.
Where's this coming from?
Exactly.
And then connecting yourself to, you know, spirit. You know, spirit is nature. Spirit is yourself. So are you meditating? Are you giving yourself time to really unravel our nervous system? You know, what's your coffee intake look like? What's your energy drink intake look like?
What's your brain intake look like? Dude, I trade and stuff. I got to watch the news. Dude, I have to take a break. The fucking news and the violence, the political shit in this country. It's 24/7. And these cell phones and you gotta detox, man.
Yes.
You gotta pull out of this stuff, you know?
Yes.
It's a holistic approach to healing, not just magic pill. I'm going to the Ridge for a weekend and I'm going to be healed.
It's a pillar in a large structure. And this large structure is an entire modality of holistic healing. And
that's why it's called a journey, man.
Right.
It's not an experience. It's a journey.
And and things happen, you know, like the last big retreat we did, you know, we had 15 people, middle of ceremony, about an hour and a half in. We're just starting to like turn the energy up a little bit of flute is playing. It's thundering outside. We're in a big 30-foot dome at the Ridge. And my phone like does like the emergency broadcast thing.
The alert, yeah.
So I'm like, man, I hope it's just an old person that like
took their silver alert,
took their car to the casino. And I look and it's like tornado warning, and like we're on
That's
top.
No
of
joke where you are, man.
Yeah, it's like so, and it brought me back. You know, I took a little facilitator's dose, and it like I went outside and like it brought me back to 21-year-old Jerod Napier. Like, what do you want to do, Doc? Like, make the decision. You know, I was like, ooh, like all right, let me take a deep breath, centered myself. And I was like, I need to get them to my house. Now, luckily, I have a 60-acre ranch on top of a ridge, and then right down the road, I have the 8-acre property.
Oh, good. Okay.
So, like, you know, so I get my wife and the other two facilitators, and I said, hey, so we're going to move these people. We're going to move these people by half a mile. I lined up the vehicles, went in there and turned down the music that we had just started to play, and it's like hour and a half in. So
it's
people are in that wop, 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 wop.
Yeah.
And I said, good evening.
This is your captain.
Yeah. I said there is a tornado warning in the area, and I've made the decision to move everyone to my home for a little bit until this passes over. Grab your eye mask, grab your blanket, and your shoes, and we're going to head out. And they're all veterans, dude. And like, they all sat up.
Let's go.
Boom. Did exactly with no talking, no nothing. Everybody executed everything that they were supposed
Nuts
to do.
Nuts to butt. And
like everybody just walked down, you know, got in the vehicles, got to the house, and then we get to the house. And of course, like you got some of the boys that are like, hey, like taking their shirt off, standing in the ground. I'm like, all right, we're okay. Yeah, I got cattle running around. I got a horse. I got my dogs. I'm like, all right. So I'm keeping them safe, keeping an eye on the weather. 10, 15 minutes go by. We get them all back to the Ridge and get them back down and finish that night out strong. But things happen where now in that circumstance, the saying, it all happens the way it is supposed to
is appropriate,
is wildly appropriate than saying, oh, it all happened the way it was supposed to. When you took someone who has, 30 drinks a week, send them down to a place, blast them off with Ibogaine, and they probably lied on their intake survey because that's their culture to stay alive in the military.
Exactly.
And,
hide all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, just, put on there whatever you need to put on there just to get you the healing.
Correct.
Like, we're doing it wrong in some spaces.
Yep.
And
I agree.
Yeah, but that whole thing. But then again, if you say that too much, it's like, then the government's going to be like, well, hey, hold on. We can keep you guys safe. We can keep you guys safe. We just need more influence on what you're like. No. We need to police our own.
Correct.
And say, hey, listen, I've heard multiple stories, multiple situations about people coming out of your experiences, going home and having a very large divorce rate.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Oh, it's just happened the way it's supposed to. Was it? Or was their wife or spouse prepared for the...
Correct. No, we take, at our foundation, man, we have a whole significant other program, man. Because I remember when I went, my wife was great and everything like that, and I got back healed and everything, but like a month later, she's like, I was terrified. I thought on the medicine you'd change or you wouldn't love me anymore. And I'm like, nah, it's even better. She went 2 months later. I was terrified. I'm like, oh my God, is she going to realize I'm a human piece of shit and she's going to leave me? And I had already done the medicine. So now we have like a whole significant other, like, here's your workbook. Let's have some calls. Yeah. Let's hold space while she or he are gone. So you're right. It's you got to take care of everybody, man. This is a combat mission and we got
there's some everything that goes into it.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. We're actually holding a veteran couples retreat in November.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And what we're doing, it's a little different than a lot of the other couples retreats that you hear of, where typically they use a heart medicine like MDMA or something along those lines. And no offense, but like, you put people in a great, beautiful, loving environment, give them
some MDMA.
They're gonna hug each other and feel like, oh, the dopamine.
We're
is just
healed.
set, like, oh, like we feel good, but we're angling a little bit different. There's similar modalities, but one group goes first and the others truly learn how to hold space for their spouse.
That's a great idea.
You know, the men prepare the meals and the men prepare the space. And then the next day, you know, with integrative practices and movement and we do Hape Sananga combo in the mornings to really clear those energetic channels, ice baths, and we really rub that nervous system to lengthen that vagal tone and to really bring things up to the surface. And then we're going to switch the next day. So it's going to be holding space for one group, and then that group holding space for the other. And then the third day is going to be the real integrative coming together.
Wow.
And we're bringing on a therapist for that, you know, just because, I mean, I ain't trying to get nobody relationship advice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay in my lane with the facilitation.
I know what I don't know.
Right. Like that's hey, like okay, thank you. But you know, but keeping people safe in the end with just making sure people are safe, making sure that we have high vibration, organic, nutrient dense food.
I love it.
You know, looking at the whole picture, like, and we do it all for a wildly affordable price. Like, you're not going down to a beach town in Mexico.
No, the 5-star diamond Michelin.
We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're on top of this ridge. We got a double wide trailer that was a complete gut when I bought it, and
serves the purpose.
It does.
That's all you need. You don't need a 5-diamond resort in Mexico.
You really don't. Yeah. And it's what it really
is.
Anything
that might take away from the experience, to be honest with you.
You know, I didn't want to say that, but
I was in a big old master bedroom with 5 mattresses on the floor when I did Ibogaine with those guys, man. That's all we needed, right? A big house in Mexico. Is that full, the November one?
I think we got one spot left.
No shit. So how do is it on your website? Tell people how we can, because this is great. If any of this resounds with you, tell us how we get a hold of you and we can apply. Or
the website itself is still blowing out some candles on it. It's almost done. Working with a developer who is really patient with me. I'll just say it like that. He's very patient with me. So we are working on getting that website up and running. I'm fairly active on Instagram. You can follow me, reach out to me on Instagram.
Yeah, Jerod_Napier. And then Rising Ridge, right? Both Instagram accounts.
Both of those are Instagram. I'm more active on my personal account.
Okay.
And I just am here to be helpful. We do it at an affordable price. We do it, in my opinion, as safe as you can do it. We do 2 weeks of preparation.
That's great.
Before the physical experience. We have larger retreats, you know, those are our veterans retreats. And we don't just work with veterans. We work with everyone in the community. But, I obviously love working with veterans. I can speak that language, and I know what those, dark nights of the soul are. And I can also show them that there is a way out, and
healing is possible.
It really is,
Yeah.
and I can put you on the right path, but you're the one that's going to be doing the heavy lifting. You're the one that's going to be doing the work with support of your family and or structure, whatever you have at home. And my wife does an amazing job, talking to the spouse, or I'll answer questions, and we do Zoom calls just to make sure that the energetic vibration is there.
Mm-hmm.
And if spirit tells me no, if my intuition has hesitation, then it's a no.
Correct.
And I'm not always able to explain why. It's just a no from me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish more organizations did that.
Yeah.
But I'm also lucky enough to where I'm doing this not to pay the bills.
Exactly. It's a passion.
Yeah.
Helping and healing. When you lead with your heart and your truth, my brother, you can never go wrong.
Yeah.
So if you're leading with your wallet or your pocketbook, things can go.
Like, I wouldn't normally say yes to this person, but
Exactly.
that
In
Raptor payment ain't paying itself. You know what I mean?
In fighter aviation, we had a saying: if there's any doubt, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
So if there's any doubt, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So I want you to get with Susie, because I want to start sending our grant, if you'll take them, our grant recipients your way, man.
Yeah, I would love to.
I'm glad I got a full brief on everything you're doing there. I mean, we have, as you know, we got a full list, and we're always looking for money, but we have enough where we can start sending guys and gals in ones and twos, and it would make my skin crawl having to board a plane to go to Mexico or to Costa Rica when we can heal our heroes at home.
That's the thing, dude. Like, all of the hoops and all of the ballyhoo that goes into it all. Like, what are we doing right? This is the best that we have to offer? Like, people in the United States that maybe don't have a passport. Like, somebody that doesn't have a passport, and that's going to be the logistical failure.
That's going to keep them from healing? Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, I had a buddy who had tax issues. Like, dude, I can't go to Costa Rica. I'm like, you can't leave the fucking country? What is this, the prisoner of the United States? So being able to go to Oklahoma, man, is just absolutely fantastic. So this has been awesome, Chief. Before I forget, so Senior, since you did the podcast, there's your coin.
I appreciate you.
And I feel like Sean Ryan here, man. You get an OG.
Hey.
That's the original No Fallen Heroes. And then you get a psychedelic fighter pilot T-shirt, man.
Dude,
look at that.
That is outstanding. Thank you, Wiz.
Look at that.
Dude, that is a sharp shirt.
That's awesome, isn't it? The psychedelic fighter pilot.
That is outstanding.
Folks, Senior.
Thank you.
Jerod Napier, man. Follow him on Instagram, Jerod Jerod _Napier, and then also Rising Ridge. Let's help blow his Instagram out. Thank God for everything you're doing, man. Thank God you're here. Thank God you didn't, when you were crying on your SIG, that your LPO called or whoever it was, and you're here for a reason, my brother. Thanks for driving in too, man. You're up in Bradenton. Thanks for taking your time out of your day.
Of course, man. I couldn't miss this opportunity to meet you and speak on this podcast.
Hell yeah, man. We're gonna get the word out. So folks, check out Rising Ridge. Senior's doing some incredible work, saving and changing lives. And I'm honored to call you a friend, and we support everything you're doing.
Thank you, brother.
You bet, man. All right, folks. Check out Senior Chief's operation up there until I want to go up there too, man. I'll come up and do a retreat. Maybe Susie and I will come check that stuff out.
Yeah, please do.
I would love to do that. So check out Senior's operation up there in Oklahoma, up at Rising Ridge. Matthew Buckley, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged. Fights on. Namaste. And Basi Basi. Wiz and Senior out.